Do you want to know the difference between real quartz, fake quartz, clarified quartz, and synthetic quartz? My name is Sheila Satin, and I'm one of the owners here at Satin Crystals, and today we are going to discuss real versus fake quartz. What is real quartz? Real quartz is a natural crystal that is found all over the world. It is one of the most abundant minerals on Earth. It comes in this clear to white stone, which you see most often, but depending on the inclusions within the quartz, it can come in all kinds of different colors. It also has different formations and shapes. If you want to know all about quartz, visit the Satin Crystals Quartz Crystal Meanings page, and we also have an overview video about quartz itself. Why is there so much fake quartz in the market? So because quartz is so abundant and so readily available, why even bother making fakes of quartz? Well, it depends on the industry. So for example, in the electronics industry, they need a quartz that is very, very clear without the inclusions. So they use a synthetic quartz. For some collectors or even some healers, they prefer a quartz that they can see through without any inclusions as well, because they consider these natural inclusions imperfections. So when you do find a real clear quartz like this piece here with the natural inclusions within, it'll be very, very expensive because clear quartz without inclusions or with very little inclusions is quite rare. What are synthetic and clarified quartz? So as we mentioned, synthetic quartz is very, very vital to the electronics industry. Because quartz crystals vibrate at such a regular frequency, they are very important in semiconductors, in computers, in watches, and televisions. So to make synthetic quartz, they need to extract 99.999% pure quartz. And in nature, quartz crystals, as I said, have a lot of the impurities, have the fractures, have inclusions. They are not going to be 99.999% pure. So for the synthetics, they need to make a version where they can put into their computers. And I'll link to a video to show you exactly how they do this. Now, the other one that we talked about is clarified quartz. And clarified quartz has a similar process. It's also called reconstituted quartz. So in this process, they crush the quartz into a powder. Sometimes they will mix it in with a little bit of glass or maybe some resin, and then they'll heat it, they'll put it under pressure, it'll recrystallize, but it'll take out most of the inclusions, sometimes all of the inclusions. Most of the inclusions will be gone. Like this piece here is a clarified or reconstituted quartz. It is very, very clear, but you can still see some of the quartz inclusions. So it's still a quartz, but it has been manipulated by man a little bit just to make it cheaper to sell and to attract those people who are looking for this clarity in their quartz crystals. What are some tips to tell if your quartz is real or fake? So besides synthetic or clarified quartz, we also have some people who either don't know or are just trying to pass off their glass as real quartz crystal. So if you do not have a reputable seller to ask, or if you just want to determine for yourself what your quartz piece is, I'm going to give you a few tips here. So first of all, your real quartz will have the natural inclusions within. So the natural planes and the natural minerals, the natural rainbows, and these inclusions will be all unique and in a random pattern. Whereas a glass, if they're trying to pass it off as quartz, the inclusions might look very uniform and they just won't look very sporadic like they are in real quartz. It also helps to know the natural formation of a natural quartz crystal. So you'll see that this natural quartz crystal has 6 sides, is 6-faceted, and at the top it comes to a 6-pointed pyramid. So this is a natural quartz shape. Sometimes if the quartz doesn't form very well, it could have maybe just 3 faces, but this is a natural quartz crystal. So if you see some kind of fake that is not quite in this formation, you can rule that out as well. Real quartz will not show any air bubbles. Where it will have the inclusions and other kinds of patterns within the stone, it won't have little tiny air bubbles that do form in glass making. However, there is one exception. It is when the natural quartz has an air bubble with a little droplet of water, and these are called anhydrous quartz, but the droplet of water will be moving within the quartz. So that is the only reason it would have an air bubble, that it was formed naturally. However, if it is glass, you might be able to see really, really tiny air bubbles. I can see one visibly with my naked eye here on the top of this glass bottle. But if you can't see it visibly, you can also check in through your eye loop, your little magnifying glass, and check to see if there's any bubbles within the stone. And if so, you can rule it out and determine that it is glass. You can also check the hardness of the stone that you have. So quartz is a 7 on the Mohs scale of hardness. It is relatively a hard stone. Glass is only a 5. So quartz will be able to scratch your glass. I can make a little tiny scratch mark in this glass here, and you'll see that it gets scratched. That is because this glass is much softer than the quartz. Whereas if I scratch the quartz with the glass, nothing should happen. So that is an easy way to determine. Anything less than a 7 on the Mohs scale of hardness should not be able to scratch your real quartz. Another way to determine if you have real quartz versus glass is if your quartz does fall, it can break in half, or it could chip, or it could have some scratches on it, but it won't shatter. So this quartz wand actually did fall, and it broke in half at the fracture point where I repaired it. But the glass will shatter all over the place. And I did have this incident just this morning where I took out a glass from the dishwasher and it fell and shattered all over the kitchen floor. So that is obviously not a quartz. Quartz, like a lot of crystals, is very cold to the touch. So this one you can tell, this is a test where you can test if the crystal is real by seeing if it is cold or not. These natural quartz crystal, if I place it on my cheek, which is a very sensitive area, I can tell that is ice cold from the beginning. If I leave it there for a while, it still remains ice cold. Whereas glass, if I place it on my cheek, it is ice cold in the beginning, but after a while, it starts to warm up much faster than my glass. Now, this isn't a perfect test, and you obviously have to have some kind of heat and cold sensitivity, but you could try it out. Real quartz is usually heavier than your substitutes or your fake quartz. So here I have a natural quartz heart, and it does have a little weight to it, whereas this clarified or reconstituted quartz wand is much lighter than this tiny heart. So that is how I can tell that this is clarified quartz rather than real quartz. Another way to tell if your quartz is real clear quartz is the price tag, because if you do have a large piece like this real quartz heart here and has great clarity, even though it is full of inclusions, it should be in the hundreds of dollars. If you're finding it for less, then it might be a clarified quartz where they can afford to sell it to you for cheaper. But here is a natural quartz heart. And these bracelets here are clarified quartz. They're super, super clear and faceted, but you have to think about all the work that goes into it. If it was a real quartz, they have to mine it, they have to clean it, they have to polish it, and they have to make sure that it doesn't break in the process. That would make it much pricier than clarified quartz, where the crystal is already crushed and shaped as they want it to be for a much less price. So look at the price tag as well. Another thing that you want to look out for besides glass quartz is a plastic. Now, hopefully you'll be able to tell if it is plastic, because of course plastic is super light. It doesn't have the weight of quartz. This one even has a seam where they had melded it together, and it sounds very different. It does look nice and sparkly, but once you do feel it, you don't have that cold sensation either. So a lot of fake glass or fake quartz versions, but make sure that you know that you are getting your true clear quartz crystals if that is what you are looking for. Can you still use clarified quartz for healing purposes? Now, this is an answer that you're going to have to determine for yourself, but some people still consider clarified quartz as mostly a quartz crystal, so you can still feel its healing energies. It might not be as powerful as real natural quartz. Real natural quartz has all of its organic inclusions. It kind of whisks you away into a spiritual world as you gaze into the sphere, into the inclusions. It focuses your mind into a different realm. Clear or clarified quartz is prized for its clarity. So some people like to gaze into the clarified quartz to kind of take them into their own mind. So it just depends on which you prefer. Clarified quartz, of course, is much cheaper than real quartz, so that could also be one of your concerns. Clarified quartz, if you're buying a large crystal sphere, clarified quartz would be much cheaper than a natural crystal sphere. And of course, glass would be even cheaper. But if you want to work with natural crystal healing, you want either a real quartz or a clarified quartz. And real quartz, it also has the inclusions where each one is going to be unique, whereas clarified quartz is pretty much uniform. All of them are going to have the same clarity, the same kind of shape. So it just depends on what energy you are seeking. Some people don't even like the manipulation of polished stones, so they will only stick to their raw, rough shapes coming straight from the earth. So, as I said, you are going to have to determine that for yourself, but both of these types of quartz are popular in the crystal healing realm. If you need some real quartz crystals for your collection, visit us at Satin Crystals. We have a lot of real quartz stones and jewelry for you to add. While you're there, join the Satin Crystals VIP Club, where we send out crystal healing information every single week. If you have any tips on how to tell if your quartz is fake or real, comment below so that everybody can benefit. We also invite you to like and subscribe to our channel so we can continue bringing you crystal education videos throughout the year. As always, thank you for your positive energy at Satin Crystals, and thank you for spreading your light into our world.